I'm from a grimy era, let's talk about it. Gotta keep a pole, can't walk without it. Did some things in the streets, but I won't talk about it. Seen some things in the streets, but I won't talk about it. I'm from a hood that's thorough, they don't play here. And they don't play on these blocks, it ain't a daycare. A new kid gets shot every day here. I guess that's why my heart colder than the rain there. DVD Era TV back at y'all with another one. Y'all know the slogan. Let's get straight into this one. Now, Freekey Zekey is one of the original members of Dipset, and he always was on frontline for any drama they were in. And he's also known for being one of their most loyal soldiers. Now, even when Cameron and Jim Jones wouldn't be seeing eye to eye, it's said that Freekey would be the one to try to bring them together. Now, from the history of Dipset beefing amongst each other, from Cameron and Jewel's feuding,
best part about it is our relationship. We've always managed to sort it out and get to a good place. Right. I'm saying me and Cam and just the whole diplomat.
Even Jim Jones and Cameron. You never heard Freekey Zekey beef with any original member of Dipset in public. Now, we all heard back in 2003, Freekey was shot and his friend Eric Mangrum would be killed after a car accident and attempt robbery.
All of them got guns pulled out on me, grabbing my chain, telling me that they want my chain. I said, no. That's 4 guns, 4 different type of guns shooting at me.
I'm down, so I guess his man came and his man took the chain off my neck and threw it.
But that wouldn't be the only time that Zeke gets shot. Now, according to Freekey Zekey, he'll be shot in the church after stepping in for his friend who got punched in the face.
Like one time I got shot in church. They had a club in the church. I mean, somebody punched my man in the face and I ended up getting hit.
Freekey even goes on to say that he died for 34 seconds on an operation table before the doctors could bring him back to life.
Got shot in the church. I died on the table for 34 seconds.
Now, Zeke also says when he was shot in Chelsea during a botched robbery, he also died for 47 seconds before being revived. So basically, being that he was shot twice and he had to be revived, he felt like he was on his 3rd life. Now, when Zeke was shot in the church, he don't mention how many times he got shot or where exactly he got hit on his body, but he is lucky to be alive. Now, to all the young boys out there thinking the life of crime and the street life is all good, listen to these stories I'm telling from the DVD era in the late 90s, early 2000s. Before you jump off the sidewalk into that street, you probably can learn from their mistakes. Now, the underground hip-hop world was introduced to Mel Murder, a.k.a. Mel Matrix, in the DVD era by Jim Jones. Melly would get his big break on the Bird Gang MOB Members of Bird Gang mixtape. Growing up in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, Mel Murder would be well known and documented as one of the few rappers to really live what he rap about. From gang banging and going in and out of the prison system and living a life of crime.
You know how it be, I got like 1 foot in the game and 1 foot out the game. So a lot of situations, it be kind of sticky for me to play with them cameras.
Could I ask if you've ever been in jail? Long time?
Going back and forth since the juvenile.
Now, in 2018, Mel Murder would be caught up in the whole Treyway indictment with Tekashi 6ix9ine. And in 2019, Mel Murder was sentenced to 11 years in prison for his role in the Treyway indictment as the godfather of the 9 Trey Bloods.
Been through a little, you know, gunfire activity. She been through all that. She came to the hospital for all that. She knows what's up. Wow. She learned fast.
That's a lot for a little girl to see.
She's about 4 too.
Wow.
She still be asking me about that. She made a mistake and put her finger on one of the holes. I took my shirt off. I was sitting on the bed, we watching TV. And our little kid playing around. She behind me, I don't know if she behind me. And she came behind me like she was trying to do it sneaky, like, and she put her whole finger. I jumped up like, oh, I reacted like.
Is it still an open hole like that?
Nah, that's when it first happened. It's closed now, you know what I'm saying? But she ain't really know no better.
Were you to the point, I don't know how badly you were hurt, but was it like life-threatening?
Yeah. It's life-threatening.
Did you think you were gonna die?
The bullet wasn't too far. The bullet wasn't too far from my main blood vessel, the aorta. So like an inch away. So I'm lucky.
Now, Chopper Young City is a rapper from New Orleans. In the DVD era, we'll be introduced to Chopper on P. Diddy's MTV reality show, Making a Band. Now, Chopper will be one of the up-and-coming artists on the show to stand out and make the band, along with Dylon, Ines, Babs Bunny, Sarah, and Fred. The band will put out their gold debut album in 2003 for Too Hot for TV with singles like Bad Boy This, Bad Boy That, and Tonight. After Puffy decided to end the group to band, he would still keep Chopper signed as a solo artist to Bad Boy South, and Chopper would eventually drop his single for I See You Little Daddy in a remix with featured Jody Breeze and Lil Wayne. Now, will be also talks about Chopper signing to Cash Money, but after having a fallout with Lil Wayne, that'll come to an end.
He gave a he was getting all emotional because his bill was me.
You're not ever supposed to beef over chick.
But Chopper would continue to grind under the MOE brand independently and keep his buzz alive with a countless number of appearances on WorldStarHipHop.com. Now, while Young City was grinding and trying to find a way to become the next big hip-hop star in the music industry, Chopper would find himself in some trouble he might not made it out of. Now, on January 2012, Chopper would be shot 3 times while on his way to do a show in Chicago. Now, supposedly while Chopper was staying in Atlanta, he'll be selling pounds of weed, and some of his customers from Illinois wanted 6 pounds, but he only had 3 pounds left. Now, Chopper would speak to one of his peoples about the situation, and that person he spoke to suggested he stretched the weed by using rabbit food. Now, Chopper decided to mix the 3 pounds of weed with rabbit food to stretch it to 6 pounds because the guys that were coming for the weed were actually driving from Illinois all the way to Atlanta, and he didn't want them to feel like he was wasting their time. And Chopper already told him he had the 6 pounds of weed, so I guess Chopper ain't want to make it seem like he couldn't cover the order. So Chopper would meet up with the guys, give them the work, and get his money. Now, according to Chopper, he says they'll call him later on that day and basically confront him for selling them weed mixed with rabbit food. Now, they exchange words, and basically one of the guys would tell Chopper he was going to get him for beating him out of his money. Now, after this situation happened, Chopper basically said time would pass and he went on with his life. Now, after this incident, Chopper would eventually move to Detroit. Now, according to Chopper, while he was out in Detroit, he'll get a phone call from a club promoter trying to book him for a show. Now, he'll tell a promoter his price was $10,000, and that promoter agreed without trying to negotiate a smaller amount or send him paperwork, and Chopper would send half of the money up front. Now, the night of the show, Chopper would drive to the show in his Lamborghini along with a female, and the promoter would call and find out his location on the highway several times. Now, as Chopper got close to the venue, he'd call a promoter, but he didn't get an answer, and that's when he realized he was being followed by a gray Buick. Now, at this point, Chop thought it would be best to pull up to the rest spot ahead of him, and he told the female in the car with him to get out and tell the attendant he was about to be robbed and to call the police. But the female got out the car and started to panic, and the guys in the gray Buick got out their car and walked up to Chopper Lamborghini with their guns out. Now, according to Chopper, he asked the gunman what I'd done, and the gunman replied, "You know what you did in the A," and began to start firing in the car. So basically, Chopper was set up by the dudes from Illinois he beat out of their money by selling them fake weed in Atlanta. Now, Chopper was shot twice in the side and once in the butt, and after he was shot, he tried to drive off and ended up passing out and crashed into a pole. Now, according to Chopper, they shot 5 times at him, but he was only struck 3 times. Now, when this story first was brought up, it was reported as an attempt robbery, but I guess as years went on, he felt more comfortable sharing what really happened the day he was shot and what led to everything happening. Now, salute to Chopper for surviving this whole situation and being alive and well to be able to speak about it.
Yeah, you know, there's Brooklyn's #1 hustler, the Arm & Hammer man, RedCafe, East Side, West Side with the big homies.
Now, RedCafe is a rapper from Brooklyn, New York. RedCafe was born in Guyana and moved to Brooklyn at the age of 6. In 1992, RedCafe would go to jail, and not too long after his release, he would join a rap group called The Franchise, along with Gravy, the actor and rapper mostly known for his role as the notorious B.I.G. and other Brooklyn rapper Q the Kid. Now, The Franchise is signed to Violator Records, and they'll appear on the Violator compilation album with a record called First Degree featuring Ja Rule. The group would eventually split, and RedCafe would start to pursue a solo rap career. In the DVD era, RedCafe was signed to Arista Records in 2003. By 2005, Red was signed to Capitol Records, and Who Bangin' Records ran by Mac 10, and he would appear on a Smack DVD with him. And also that same year, RedCafe would be featured on the Coach Carter movie soundtrack. Around this time, RedCafe would kill a mixtape and DVD scene by being on multiple mixtapes and DVDs from
from Smack, The Come Up, Sub-Zero, and the Rewind DVD, just to name a few. After RedCafe was buzzing on the underground hip-hop scene, he would land a deal with Interscope and Akon's Convict Music in 2006. In 2007, RedCafe would team up with Queens DJ Envy and put out the Co-op album, which featured other artists such as Remy Ma, Fabulous, and Chic Luch. Izzard was also known to rep Street Fam alongside Fabulous, Paul Kane, and Freck the Billionaire. RedCafe would go on to work with artists such as Fabulous, Remy Ma, French Montana, 2 Chainz, Young Jeezy, Cardi B, and P. Diddy, just to name a few. In 2009, RedCafe would sign to Bad Boy Records and put out singles like I'm Ill, featuring Fabulous, and Let It Off. Now, before RedCafe would become a successful ghostwriter and work with P. Diddy, before RedCafe joined Fabulous and Street Fam, before Izzard put out singles like Champagne for the Pain, featuring Young Jeezy, before RedCafe got to play in the Notorious movie, RedCafe would find himself in some trouble that he might not made it out of. Now I'm going to read this article with RedCafe and Vibe magazine, and he explains the whole situation of him being shot in his neck. Now in this article, he speaks on other situations, but I'm going to get straight into the shooting incident. He says, I don't know how it is in other neighborhoods, but when I was growing up, there'd be certain blocks that were popping certain years. Like say out of 6 or 7 years, this block is popping this year. This is where it's at. Everybody hangs out there and just moves around. So my block was hot at this time. My block is 19th Street. Shine is from my block. Where exactly? Flatbush, Q the Kid from my block. So my block is hot at this particular time. And this dude tries to take a diamond ring that I had, and I wasn't having it. So I was fighting them for it. There were 2 of them. There were girls out there. So I'm like, man, F that. Y'all ain't gonna be taking my ish. And at this time I had a little knife. So I was stabbing this dude up and stuff because they were restraining me and they were bigger than me. And I had a pistol and they were holding it to my head trying to let it off. And it's not going off. And I'm fighting them and stabbing them. Then I back up and he shot me in my neck. Damn. He shot me and ended up knocking me out, and everybody's around me, more than 30 people right there. I get up and blood is coming out like a water fountain. I was still conscious, but I was losing a lot of blood, and I was tired, so I went home, and I was like, I'm tired. I just want to go to sleep. The police and ambulance didn't come until I was in the house lying on the floor. What happened to everybody? They all ran away? I don't know if they ran away. I remember walking out and people still being around saying, oh, ish. What about your assailants? I couldn't even see them anymore. I ended up going to the hospital and I was there for like a week or so. Then I had surgery to take some of the parts out because it came out my back. Do you remember what kind of gun it was? A 32. It just missed my esophagus. I wouldn't be able to be like I'm the hottest ninja in the hood. I couldn't even do that. How did it affect you mentally? I just started rebelling. I just started going crazy. Now that was some of RedCafe's interview with Vibe magazine explaining the details of him being shot in his neck for his diamond ring. Now they don't say exactly how old he was, but he was very young. Now after this situation, he said he started rebelling and he started to be on demon time, as we said today. And then he eventually would go to jail in 1992 for a 4-year sentence. Now, Maserati Fox, who was G-Unit Dumb-Out and a G-Unit affiliate who had a heavy presence in the DVD era, is no stranger to being shot. Now, before coming home from prison and repping G-Unit and jumping on every DVD magazine you could name at the time, Fox would be heavy in the streets. And sometimes the lifestyle he was living would put him in situations that could have went really bad for him. Now, supposedly, Maserati Fox was shot 21 times altogether in different situations.
I lost weight, I got shot 21 times talking to rat.
Now, it was even a situation where Fox said he was shot 12 times or either shot for the 12th time. Now, supposedly, Fox would go meet up with someone who owed him $10,000. And as he got in the car, the guy started firing shots at Fox, striking him. Now, it's even said that Fox was able to take the gun away from the guy who was shooting him.
If I get the gun in his hand, do I gotta shoot?
Now, this wouldn't be the last time that Maserati Fox would be shot. Now, sadly, Fox would be shot and killed January 4th, 2014 in Queens, not too long after returning home for doing a bid. Now, after being home for about 2 weeks, supposedly Fox would be gunned down in a vehicle in a revenge shooting of the murder of Chris Scott. the murder that Fox was connected to back in 1998. Now, victim Chris Scott's brother would be arrested and spent about 2 years behind bars for the murder of Maserati Fox, but ended up coming home after beating the case due to technicalities. Now, Rod Diggs is probably one of the most authentic rappers ever to break inside the music industry. Growing up downtown Brooklyn in Gowanus houses, Rod Diggs would begin to sell drugs at an early age and even been arrested as early as the age of 14 years old. Now, in the late 90s, 9/8 to be exact, supposedly Rod Diggs would have a shootout with rivals in Wyckoff houses where an innocent bystander was shot in the head. Now, Diggs was a high-ranking member of the murderous Mad Dog Bloods and was in control of most of the drugs sold in Gowanus projects, where he had several stash houses. Now, it's even said that Rod Diggs was connected to 3 murders where witnesses said they seen Rod do it with their own eyes. And Rod Diggs himself would be shot. On October 7th, 2001, Rod would be shot in his left leg over a drug dispute. And while recovering from his injuries in Kings County Hospital, it said that Rod Diggs' cousins would kill the shooter that shot him. Now, you may have heard Diggs speak on this situation on a freestyle with Uncle Murder to Young Jeezy Slow Down beat. And Rod Diggs says on his track, "I don't respect the shooter because he shot me in the legs, and 2 days later the little was dead. If he was smart, he would have shot me in the head because I could get you shot from a hospital bed." Now, after living a long life of crime, Rod Diggs would eventually have to face the consequences of his actions. On October 5th, 2010, Rod was arrested for 3 murders, drug dealing, racketeering, which all was federal charges. And at trial, several of Rod Diggs' songs and music videos was used against him as evidence. Rod Diggs would eventually get sentenced to 12 life sentences and 105 years in prison. Now, not too long ago, I got the honors to do an interview with one of my personal favorite rappers, Hell Rell. Now, during this interview, I got to ask him about the iconic little situation about him being shot in his butt, his ass, however you want to say it, pause. And, you know, Max B and French Montana was making fun of him and stuff like that. So, now, I didn't get to ask him, like, was this 2 separate situations? Because he did say he got shot in his back. But he did say, like, he never got shot in his ass. So I never really got the chance to ask him, like, was these 2 separate situations? Because when Max B and French Montana was talking about it, they kind of was saying it like it was something recent. And he was trying to keep it on a hush at the time, around 06, 07. You get what I'm saying? But anyway, this is a clip from my interview with Hell Rell explaining him being shot in his back, not his ass. dvderatv back at y'all with another one. Y'all know the slogan. Today we got a very special guest in the building. Let them know who I'm speaking to.
dvderatv, what's up? It's your boy Hell Rell, aka Mr. Ruga, the head shooter. What's up with you, my boy?
I mean, if I get shot, it's on some street shit. I've been shot before, but like shot in my... Me? What I look like?
Dog, you got shot in your ass, dog. Last time you been in the Bronx.
They broke your hands. See, I grew up with French, so he actually knows a little bit of truth and a little bit of history. But yeah, I did get shot on some street shit. I did get shot, and not my brother. Nah. It was funny, it was a cute rumor, but nah, that actually didn't happen though.
Shot me in my ass, kid. You can't even count.
Was shot in my back. Wasn't never shot in my hand, and mine had shot at some nigga in my hood, some rat nigga. They had shot at him the day before, and I ain't know that. And I just had pulled up to the block, and he had hopped out of a car and started shooting, and I got hit mistakenly. And being that we was on gangster time back then, I made him pay me for shooting me. You feel me? I made him pay me. He paid me like $25K. You feel me? And that was that.
Now, Waka Flocka was introduced to the world as a member of Gucci's 1017 Brick Squad, along with OJ the Juice Man, his cousin Frenchie, and brother Woo the Kid. In 2009, Waka Flocka jumped on the scene with his single, Oh Let's Do It, which became an instant hit record. Waka followed up with his hit single, Hard in the Paint and No Hands, featuring Roscoe Dash and Wale, which went multi-platinum. On October 5th, 2010, Waka Flocka dropped his debut album for Flocka Machiavelli, which peaked at number 6 on the Billboard charts, selling close to 40,000 his first week. But in January 2010, Waka Flocka would be in a situation where he might not have lived to see the release of his debut album. Now in 2010, Waka Flocka would be shot and robbed. Now I'm going to get into a few articles that explain the whole situation. And it says, on Tuesday evening, the 23-year-old rapper was recovering after being shot earlier in the day in an apparent robbery. Born Joaquin Morphas, the rapper was washing his car at the Bubble Bath Car Wash at 5220 Old Nation Highway around 1:30 p.m. when he was approached by an armed man demanding Waka's jewelry, police said. A scuffle broke out, the shots were fired, Fulton County Police spokesman Sergeant Scott McBride said. Waka was shot in the arm and taken to a nearby hospital. The suspect fled the scene, going south along Old Nation Highway, McBride said. Waka is linked to hip-hop star Gucci Mane's So Icy Entertainment, according to allhiphop.com. So that was an article right there on the situation on what happened. I said Waka instead of his last name because Waka's easier to say. But basically he was washing his car, slipping with his jewelry on. Somebody ran down on him to rob him. He wasn't with it. He scuffled with them for the gun and he ended up getting shot. Now this is another article explaining how Waka Flocka felt after the robbery and after being shot or whatever. So let's get into that. Now in this article, Waka says, I'm like, I can't believe I'm shot, he said about the thoughts that raced through his head in the aftermath of the assault. I felt it in my arm, but I looked down and felt it in my chest, my back, everything. It felt like stop, drop, and roll. I'm leaking and my arm squirting. I said, call an ambulance. I felt my body getting woozy. I laid down on the flat surface. That messed me up because they ain't do nothing but put air inside my lungs and blood. I ain't panicked. I was like, F it. I'ma give up. This hurt too bad. I'ma give up. So it sounded like Waka was going to give up after he got shot. But anyway, it says, thankfully for Flame, it wasn't his time to die. My partner was like, get up. I said, I ain't dead. Call an ambulance. Flocka remembered. By the time I get up, he was like, dog, you done peed yourself. I was like, this ain't pee, this blood. I got in the ambulance. The EMS attendant was like, lift up. I'm like, lift up? This hurt. You ever been shot before? Waka gets a little more serious when talking about the bullet's path through his body. It went through his right arm, punctured his lungs, broke a couple ribs, and landed in his back, causing vision and memory loss for 2 weeks. He still feel pain in his injured arm and can't move his fingers on his right hand as freely as he did before. Give me a week, I'll probably be up and running, he said optimistically. Waka still can't understand why someone wanted to kill him. He just an up-and-coming rapper, and the neighborhood on Old Nation Highway where the incident occurred is one of his frequents. However, he still maintains that the word he's hearing on the streets is the gunman was sent to do more than just rob him. So what it sounded like to me is they was there to take Waka out, but thankfully he got out that situation and survived and was able to put out his debut album and pursue his rap career.